Okay, well, let's get started here and see if Jana is still lurking in the background there. Jana, you still with us?
I am. Thank you for having me today.
Hey, there she is. Thank you. And I noticed earlier when we were talking that you had some of your office assistants there with you today.
I do, but I think they've snuck away to take naps. So hopefully they won't interact. Well, maybe hopefully they will. I don't know, but they may
She's,
come in and out um, and say hello. It
he's
just
talking
depends.
about not children,
Not
but well,
children.
they are your children, right?
Yes,
But she
fur
has
babies.
a dog named Jack, and the cat, I forgot the cat's name.
The cat's name is Lila, and I think well, there's another cat too, but she's probably going to be hiding. But Lila might come in and want some attention. She's definitely she likes she likes her mama.
She
So
likes to interact with mom, huh? They just
yes,
want attention. That's all, just like children. Well,
very much.
Jana, thank you for taking the time out today to do this. You're working there from your home office, obviously.
I am.
I know that you just got started about a year ago. Can you kind of think back in time before you got involved with us? Tell us your background, what you were doing, what your husband was doing, and your husband's name is Tag.
Tag, yes.
Yeah. And just give us a feel for that, and then I'll ask you some more questions about why in the world you picked this business.
Sure. So I went to school to become a teacher, a math teacher. And so I taught for about 14 years. I was teaching in 2017, and my husband and I, well, and my husband's was assisted living at that point. He's now, or yeah, skilled nursing, sorry, and he's now in assisted living, VP for residential services with a company in town. But he's kind of in the industry. He understood and was looking for a business that we could start together. And he was just kind of, looking into it and found ABS and started talking to Eric and really liked it. And we were talking about it. And at the same time, I weirdly enough ended up suffering from a heart attack the
A
day after
heart
Thanksgiving.
attack.
I did, yes.
Wow.
And there was no other reason for it other than stress. And it was one of those life altering moments when I knew something had to change. And at that moment, I was just kind of going through the motions, and we had signed up to come to training, and we decided we wanted to move forward with building a medical billing business. We had a vision of Ty, my husband, who's very social and loves interacting and networking, going out and finding our clients, and I would be doing medical billing in the background because I'm the math person, right? But when we came back, it wasn't like that, and he needed to work and keep the finances flowing, and we needed somebody to do this full time. And what was weird is this kind of chose me, and I didn't really know what I was completely walking into. I had an idea and I was excited about it, but as I really owned it and stepped into the full commitment of making it my own company and something that I could grow, it just becomes something way more than I had expected. And I'm just so excited to be here. I'm so excited for the journey that I've been on. I've since gotten my clean bill of health, and I was able to experience doctors at their worst and at their best, and I realized just how important it was for us to support doctors and allow them to be in an environment where they're able to choose to treat their patients the way that they want to and they see fit, and for us to have that healthcare so that when we need them, we can choose and we can have that healthcare that we're searching for, and we're not stuck in a box. And so I knew that this was more than just me growing a business. It was a mission, to make sure that as they took care of me when I needed them, I want to be able to take care of them when they because they need the help.
Well,
And so,
that's why you're so successful and will be far beyond a lot of people, because you do have a heart for not just the doctors, but the patients that they are seeing. And doctors are struggling right now, let's face it, to stay in private practice, aren't they?
they are, yeah,
Yeah.
there's lots of issues and they need help, definitely.
Yeah. So it's quite a change, I guess, from being a teacher. Obviously, there was a lot of stress there. You were talking earlier about the fact that now you're motivated to help the doctors because your income's tied directly to their income. Whereas with a teacher, I mean, just do whatever you need to do, right?
Well, exactly. And, I mean, you get paid as a teacher regardless of whether your students show up or not, whether you teach them well or not, but this is completely different. Um, you know, Sorry, my fur babies have joined us. Um, it's completely different. I had to turn my brain around and become an entrepreneur. And that was probably the biggest part of the journey that, the undertaking of just really changing my mindset, looking at this from a different point of view, and knowing that this is what I wanted. And I had to do everything that I could to, keep going and, find that first client and just, push through the hard times, because it really was about helping them, grow their practices and make sure that they get their revenue. Because again, like you said, if they don't get paid, we don't get paid. So
Well,
yeah,
there's tag.
my husband, that was a
Not
paint night.
live,
Yeah.
but yeah. This was where was this taken? Was this when you were in our training class? No, he's got on some kind of apron. So do you.
Yeah, we went on a paint night. So we went to one of those nights where, paint.
Oh,
So
oh, well, you mean you go to drink wine and then
paint.
painting is
But that
just
makes
kind of
you a good painter, is when you have a little bit of wine. Yes. It also works with golf too. So
yeah. And of course, this was back when we were doing our training live at a hotel here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. We since went completely virtual. I didn't know if you knew that or not, Jana.
I just found out yesterday. I was talking to Tim. I was
Yeah.
like, yeah.
Yeah, so it's still done with a live instructor. In fact, probably you said under Cynthia Anderson, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So she's doing a lot of the instructing for us, for people when they come on board, but it's just on their schedule using GoToMeeting like this one-on-one. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
But that's when y'all graduated, and gosh, it just seems like yesterday. And look, there's one of your assistants right there.
Oh, where?
Oh, he was in the room a while ago, but I just put a
Oh,
picture
there
of
he
him.
is. Yes, that's him working hard, hanging out.
Yeah. Now, where was this taken?
That was in Yosemite. There's a small golf course in Wawona, and we went and played 9-hole golf course, and we enjoy golf. Tig was a golf pro before he's doing what he's doing now. So I got on the golf, and I actually played really well. I scored recorded my score this last weekend and got 2 pars, 2 holes I parred. We won't talk about the rest, but I'm learning. I'm getting better. But yeah.
That's great. Well, I think that kind of ties in with you were talking to me earlier how you got your first doctor, right? Was it somehow connected to golf?
No, it's actually teaching. So
Okay.
yeah, I actually taught a student. So I worked with Dr. Vicki Rackner for a while, like you said, and one of the suggestions she made was to reach out to anyone who worked with physicians. And so I was doing some research, and I found a financial firm that works specifically with physicians and helping them, set them up financially. And as I looked through the list, I saw a student that I taught years ago. Couldn't believe it. And I ended up connecting with him, and he had just opened up one of their offices in Sacramento. And so we connected, and I talked with him. I'm going to close the window or my door real quick. My husband just came home and there's noise, so I'm just going to shut this.
By the way, I'm going to put a slide up here. You mentioned Dr. Rackner. A lot of people don't know that she's actually on our advisory board for MIRMA, and I'm going to have her on next week as a special guest. So, folks, I just put the link for that webinar next week in the question box. It should show up there, or your chat box or something there. So all you have to do is just go ahead and register right now if you want to, and you'll be ready to attend that one. And if you can't get to it, of course, we always send out a link with a recording. So, okay, sorry.
No, I apologize. So I ended up meeting with him and asked him, what do you say to your physicians when they're complaining about the money that isn't coming in? And he said, I don't have anything to say to them. I just kind of focus on the money that is coming in. And I told him what we do and how we can help increase that revenue and overall help, him and the doctors and us, in general. And he said, well, I'll send your information along if I come along, a physician in need. And he ended up passing my name and information along to a doctor, actually in Texas, who's opening up his new practice this coming August. And we connected, we started talking, and built a relationship, and the trust was already there because that financial planner, that student of mine, a previous student of mine, referred me, and it took, a lot of conversations, a lot of, touches, but he eventually said, we want to work with you. And so, yeah, that was my first client. So I'm going to be onboarding him in a couple months and getting him going and making sure that he is able to hit the ground running and that he's really successful in his practice. So
That is fantastic. Now, that was your first doctor, right? What
yes,
what kind of doctor did you say?
pain management.
Pain management. Oh, yeah. I bet he bills a lot once he
Yes.
gets up and running. Now, what about the second one? Didn't you just say you signed up one last week or?
Yes, this week. So this is another, it's interesting how your life it's a web. I ended up joining MGMA and went to a local mixer, and I highly suggest doing this. Joining MGMA, going to every event, every lunch that they have, and learning. Not only will you learn, you'll be sitting next to the person that you want to be talking with. And that's exactly what happened. I went to a mixer, ran into a woman who started talking to me about how her husband's opening his clinic, and she's the practice manager and has no idea what she's doing and is just trying to soak in all of the information. And I'm like, that's exactly what we do. We help doctors in their practices make sure that they're up and running and they're good to go and they've got everything that they need. And we started talking, and she lived in the city that I used to teach in, and I asked if she had kids, and she said yes. And she told me that, who they were, and I'm like, I taught your boys. So I ended up teaching her kids, and the trust was already there. And so, it was a no-brainer, and we signed
What a
last.
small world.
Yes.
And of course, that's one of the things we teach. We teach about a dozen different ways to market this. And one of them is your warm market. People don't believe it, but there's more new clients signed up by our licensees through warm marketing and networking than any other method. So
Yes. It
it's a
does
good way.
take time, but it's the easiest, I think. And well, from my opinion, having tried a lot of other things, it was my comfort zone. I was able to connect one-to-one. We also joined a networking group. And once I, did that and started networking, I even got a referral from a CPA in that group or in that network. And I have a meeting with a practice this Friday. And so it all started happening. It took a little while, several months, because you have to build those relationships. But once you do, it's magic. It just kind of, everybody starts contacting you, and you're like, where does this all come from? And it's all the foundation that I laid,
That's right, exactly. You planted the seeds way back, and then of course that harvest comes eventually if you nourish it, which means you fertilize it and water it, and eventually the referrals you're going to see, Jana. There'll be a point where you got to go. Do I hire somebody else? How am I going to handle all this business? That's a good place to be, of course, in any business.
Yes, it's a good problem. And everybody told me, be careful what you wish for, because in the beginning I was like, I want that doctor, and well, here we are. So
Here you are, yeah. Now, folks, I'm not seeing questions here, so maybe we're so engaging that you don't think you need to ask questions. But this is live for you folks who are, well, unless you're watching the recording of it, but assuming that you're watching it today live, you can ask any question you want of Jana, and as long as it's appropriate, I'll pass that on to her, and we'll be glad to address anything, because this is your chance to ask somebody who's been through the same decision making that you had to go through. Jana, you probably looked at this and wondered about it for some time, right?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't easy. I was kind of coming out of, dealing with my health issues, and so I kind of was in a fog, to be honest with you. And I felt like, when I came out of that, this just plopped in my lap, as something that I could do different and get away from what was, causing so much stress in my life. And so it did, and it took a while for me to really own what this is. And but once that happened, it was it made perfect sense. Of course, this is what I'm going to be doing, because it's exactly where I'm supposed to be. So it did take a little time, yes. But
Yeah,
as I
I
moved
tell people this is
forward,
not, it's not get rich quick,
it's not.
but it is a solid business that, well, it should be around as long as there's human beings that get sick, you
Yes,
know?
yeah. And one piece of advice that I was given along the process is that it's not, yes, we're here to build a business and make money, because that's, for the goals and the future that we want to build. But in order to do this, you have to also want to help doctors. That has to be the core of why you're doing it.
Yes,
Because one, they don't say yes right away. It
right.
requires relationship. It requires building that trust. And if you're expecting it to happen right away, it's not going to work. But if you're wanting to help doctors, that really resonates with them, and that trust is built, and they'll eventually say yes. And then, like you said, the referrals come, and the business grows. But it does take time, and it's worth it 100%. But again, you have to really want to, because they'll see that you're really there for them and you're fighting for them, and it's not about you, right?
Right. Well, here's a question from Gary. Uh, he says, Jana, uh, you said it took time for you to own this business. Does that mean that you were somewhat hesitant? And if so, why?
I think the hesitancy was I had to switch my brain over from being a teacher to an entrepreneur. I had to do things that scared me. I went into doctors' offices and I talked to strangers. I know people always say that I have this, bubbly personality, but inside, I cringe when I have to talk to somebody that doesn't necessarily want to talk to me. When the doors close, like the gatekeepers close, I don't push. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm very timid in that sense. And so I had to overcome a lot of my mental boundaries. I had to learn to be an entrepreneur in the sense of you just keep pushing through. When you see a gate, when a door closed, you find a way around it. You learn what you need to learn to find the confidence that you need to do to be what you need to become. Whatever it is that needs to be done, you figure it out. You get the education you need. You read the books you need to. I've listened to Patrick's CD over and over again with the mindset, changing your mindset to be what it needs to be in order to go from point A to point B. So, and I know that's not true for everybody. There's some people that they can put that hat on real fast and they're entrepreneurs at heart. I had to grow into that. So that was my journey. And it was so worth it. Everybody you knew me before and now are telling me I'm a completely different person, and I have so much more confidence, and it's just I've grown a lot, and so I've really appreciated the entire journey. And it wasn't easy. There were moments when I made some learning mistakes. You say things wrong. You don't come across well. I'll even admit, and I hate to tell you this, there was a point when I was really leaning on the network, and I was talking with the doctor and saying, I'm part of this network. And she said, well, what network? First time a doctor ever asked me. And I'm like, Myrma. I forgot how it was spelled. I forgot what it stood for. I was completely caught off guard, and I felt like an idiot. And it was horrible. But she was very gracious, and because I didn't know how it was spelled, we couldn't even look it up. I didn't know there was two A's. I knew there was double there anyway. But I ended up going home, and after I kind of dusted myself off and just said, you know what? I'll never forget what Myrma stands for, right? And
Right.
I know now how to really lean on it. And I had to go through that to figure out how important it was, what doctors are going to ask. There's just no way around it. I
Yeah.
can tell you don't forget, so you can learn from my mistakes now, but it was just what I had to go through. And now I speak with confidence. That is not a problem I have. And, so there is the journey, and that's what the owning part. And I realize I'm rambling on, but Anyway,
That's okay. Hey, you know what? I think people don't realize this until it happens to them, but things like that actually make you more relatable to other people. It's like, okay, this is a real person that has the same hesitancy and forgets things just like I do. So we're all just human, and the more human you are, the more you can relate to other people. So I don't think that hurt at all.
yeah. And I had to, show myself grace and just know that that's part of it. You have to fail. And it's funny because being a teacher, that's exactly what I told my students. You have to fail before that's the best way to learn. But,
Yes, that's right.
of
Well,
course
by
I
the way,
don't.
you mentioned the CDs. We don't have CDs anymore, but we have all of the audio tracks now that we supply to people on a USB drive of all the self-talk that you need to be saying to yourself inside your own head, based on my book that I mentioned earlier. So, folks, I think what I'm going to do today, just because she brought that up and because all of you are on here, I'm going to actually give you a copy of that book in the handout section. And so you'll see that in here as soon as I can find it here and drag that file over there to the handout section. Now, here's another question though that came in. That's a good one. Lothar says, have you experienced any competition other medical billing firms that are out there?
There's a couple in town, but what I've learned is that there's doctors that want to work with big billing businesses, and they want, somebody who has 100 doctors that they're working for, and there's some that are worried about being another number, right? And they
Yeah.
want to know that they're being taken care of. And so no, I really haven't felt competition. I think I felt it on my own. Like when you look up other, businesses, you're like, oh my gosh, why would they say yes to me? But then when I started talking to doctors, there's a huge reason why they want to work with me, because it's me, right? And it's
Yeah.
not them. So it's just finding the doctors that want to work with you, and again, that you want to work with, because you kind of can choose who I mean, in the beginning, you're kind of like, whoever, I'll sign up. But it's the idea that you want to pick a doctor that trusts you, that wants to work with you, that you can give your undivided attention to. And that's what I'm finding, the smaller practices that really need our help.
Yeah.
And
They're looking for somebody that they can work with, especially if you're local, because you can relate to them, you can be there to answer their questions, and if they want you to, you can come to their office and they can grab you by the throat. What's going on here?
and you can be there for their, if it's a new practice, their go live date. You're there. You're not just another biller. I think that was something that we were talking about earlier, Patrick, is that we offer something different. We're cycle revenue managers, so we see the full picture. We're not just, processing claims. We're looking to find ways to increase the revenue by processing the claims correctly, making sure that, if there's other areas where they're losing money, that, we stop and plug those holes, and we really can increase the revenue. We're paying attention and we're fighting for every penny. It's not just, we're going after those denials. We're appealing things and communicating with them and showing them how we reach goals and they're anyway, just making sure that it's just different than just a regular biller.
I think doctors don't really think about this. If they've got people doing the billing in their own office, they don't ever think about how much money they may not be collecting. But those employees, like we were talking about earlier, they don't have any motivation to get every single penny in that they can. You do, because you get a percentage of every dollar you collect for the doctor. Their pay is the same no matter what, and they may drive a Volkswagen Beetle and the doctor's driving a Tesla, so they go up. He or she doesn't need any more money. They're making plenty, So it's just a mental thing. I don't think they say that out loud purposely, but I mean, that's got to be part of their thinking. And doctors, like you said, I interviewed a guy a couple of weeks ago that was, he said the doctor was sure that they brought in about 800,000 a year. And he said after doing billing for him for a year, we were bringing in $1 million. So that was 200,000 the doctor did not realize that they were losing or leaving on the table,
Yeah, and there's so much that can be done with that. I mean, it's a life changer for them. And I mean, how important is it to have a doctor who isn't worried about money when you go and you see them? You know, I mean, there's just so much to it that's,
Yeah.
you know, they don't realize what they're walking away from. So it's great that we can be the people that, you know, help them.
They don't know what they don't know. That's the thing. And so we point that out to them, don't we? And that practice analysis that you did with these doctors kind of opens their eyes, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely.
All right, let's see. Here's a question from Dung Vu says, how do you start the contract with the doctor? I'm not sure if they're wondering how you actually get the client, or in your case, it was through warm market contacts, but when you actually get started, you actually have to do some training yourself on the system and get the thing up and running for your very first client, right?
Yeah, so that, I mean, that's the best part about ABS is that you're not alone. And when you get your first client, I mean, there's so many resources. There's resources for the contracts, there's resources for, you know, you're running your own business, what's necessary for that, and then connecting you to the technology partners to get those contracts up and running. And then the technology partners come alongside of you and they help you walk that doctor through the process. I mean, you're kind of like a project manager in that sense, and making sure that everything is happening the way it should be. And if there are any, you know, any issues, that you're the one that goes in and makes sure that the connection is made and the conversations are had and anything that needs to happen happens. But
Yeah, I think most people are scared because they think, well, when I do get my first client, what am I going to do, and what kind of help am I going to get? Well, that's what, as you mentioned, we have technology partners that will actually train the doctor's staff on how to use the electronic medical record system. They'll train you on how to use the actual iClaim billing system. So you're not left alone. That's part of what we do is, for the licensing fee that we charge people, we're right there holding your hand through that whole process.
And well, even like, you know, Myrma, we talked about that earlier. You've got a network of other licensees. You know, I would not have a problem at all if you called me and said, I need some advice, or, you know, what did you do? Or, you know, we can really rely on each other and, you know, and support each other. So you're
Yeah,
not alone.
I don't know if you've been connected yet, Jana. Maybe you haven't even asked, but we can connect you with other licensees who have experience billing for pain management doctors, for example.
Yes, yeah, and that's huge. I mean, it's big, and you know, it's a great support system. You know, you're not alone.
One of the reasons I put up our website there on the screen is because somebody's question here, it's Margaret. She says, hi, after the initial training, if Medicare or Medicaid rules and regulations change, as it constantly does, how will a licensee be abreast of these changes? Well, as you can see, Margaret, we have a licensee private site. You have to have credentials, of course, to log in. But once you're in there, well, you can see we've actually posted something today on that site. And if I scroll down, you'll see we posted something yesterday and the day before. I mean, this is constantly updated. We give people constant new information on this website. And then, as Jana mentioned, up here under all these other things, we've got so many resources and tools. It's just it would literally take you months to get through all this, wouldn't it, Jana?
Yeah,
It's a
I
lot
mean,
of data.
that's the huge support. And I mean, there's so many things that you could do. And for me, I needed I really want to, I mean, cause you can grow your business however you want. So you can be the manager of your business and hire billers, right? Who
Right.
keep abreast, and then you on all the issues, and then you make sure that they're in any training that they need or whatnot. Or you can become the biller, and be that biller for a while as you grow, and then, you know, keep in it as much as you want. Or just have a few doctors, and that's all you want to do if you don't want to grow. I mean, that's the beauty of ABS, is that you can have it be whatever you want it to be. But for me, I wanted to become the expert. I wanted to know exactly what it, you know, I wanted to be involved. And maybe it's the math brain in me. I love problem solving. I wanted to figure out coding. I wanted to do all that stuff. And so I ended up going through AAPC and became a certified medical biller. And, you know, there's lots of different associations out there that you can join, and all of that I mean, because again, it is always changing. So you've got to find an avenue to make sure that you're on top of the information, because your providers are going to want that from you to make sure that you're, updated. And so whether it be through Myrma or any of, it's out there. They're out. Yeah.
Lothar says, thank you, go girl.
Thank you. That's awesome.
And he said the book download worked like a charm also. You're welcome, Lothar. That book is over there for anybody who wants to go get that. So anyway, to answer your question, Margaret, yes, we constantly keep our licensees up to date on all that we can. I don't know if you knew this, Jana, but we have a LinkedIn group out there, Myrma does, that licensees can be a part of. And we just recently started a Facebook site for a group. It was a private group. Yeah. I'm not supposed to talk about that Facebook group, but that was just recently started, and wow, there's lots of activity on that already. Licensees can communicate with one another. Folks, we have people from coast to coast. So since we're the nation's largest network of independent medical billing companies, why would you not want to get in there and, communicate with other people? Yes, they're your competition, but they're located all over the United States. And Jana, have you ever had any problems with any local competition from licensees?
No, I think there is one rather large billing company, but again, I have a doctor in Texas. You can have a doctor anywhere in the United States, and I don't feel like, no, I haven't felt like there's any competition, because there's so many doctors out there who need help, and they're all looking for a particular, it just matters. Sorry, I'm rambling, but just the idea of do you resonate with that particular doctor or not? And you can work with as many doctors as you want. Yeah.
Now, here's a good question that I think you and I talked about earlier. Somebody's asking if the doctors that you signed up, are they adopting the ABS modules or software, the electronic health record system and billing system, so forth. And you've got a doctor that doesn't use our platform. They use something else, but you just said, yes, I can do that. Because once you learn one platform, billing platform, they're all, similar.
Right, exactly. And I think too that, there's tons of support. So I can connect with other licensees in the area, and we can really help each other. And I mean, we're all in it together, even though, like you said, it feels like competition. It's not really true. We all want to see each other succeed. We're all in each other's, court, rooting each other on.
Well, and like you said to me earlier, Jana, you've got a couple of doctors now, and they're fairly new doctors, so they don't have the volume that you need to make the kind of money you want to make. But didn't you talk about another one that you're talking to now that might be a potential good income one?
Yes, there's only 2 providers and 1 nurse practitioner, but they're in 3 different locations, 3 different clinics. And in talking with the office manager, I asked kind of, how the billing situation, and she said, well, the doctors have kind of just decided that it's not great, but at least they know what they have right now and what else are they going to do. So it's kind of exciting to be able to go into this meeting. I'm going to talk with them on Friday. I did the practice analysis last week, and to be able to tell them, and they're another practice that, in town where we've got a lot of hospitals, and the physicians are kind of, told that, not told, but they're, what is it? There's an incentive to use their platform, and so, or their software. And so it's difficult to try to get them to switch over. So they're ones that, are using a different platform. But to be able to go in there and to let them know, like, we're different. We're not just processing claims. We're really going to try to work with you and your front office. And so this will be a big practice, definitely. I think I answered your question. I was rambling on, and I don't know if I.
Yeah, it doesn't take, well, that's one of the reason I brought that up is because we were talking about competition. It really doesn't matter if there's a dozen other licensees somewhere in your territory or area, that we don't have territories, but anyway, you know what I'm saying, they're close to you, because you can't handle all the doctors in your area. There's no way. You might can handle a handful. Literally, I tell people, when you get about a handful of doctors, you're going to be looking for other people to help you. And some people want to grow. I've got licensees who have over 300 doctors. But then
Hmm.
I have others that have a handful, literally a half a dozen or so, and they're making their six-figure income, and that's all they want to do.
Right. And
So
yeah, there really isn't a competition at all. I haven't felt that at all. No.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, I was going to show our YouTube channel. I don't know if you've seen this one. Let me see. What did I do with it? I just lost it here somewhere. Okay, I think it's right here. Yeah, there we go. So this is YouTube. If you go to youtube.com/whyabs, you'll see that we have a whole playlist there that you can go to. All the videos are there. One of the playlists is testimonials. So this interview today, of course, will be one of those on there, Jana, as we post it up there. But there's over 100 other testimonials from licensees. Well, you can see it right here. Look at this number. I'm going to circle it here because you can't really see it there, I don't think. Right there. Oops, that's not good. It's not the right color. Okay, do it in yellow. See it? 115
Wow.
interviews that I've done over the years like this one with other licensees. So if you want to get encouraged, if you ever get down in any way, Jana, go watch some of these. Browse through these. You'll just be encouraged to hear, okay, I'm not the only one that's suffered with that problem. There's other people out there too, and
Yeah.
you'll see that there's some great stories of success there too that'll motivate you, to grow this thing.
Yeah. It's definitely worth it. It's definitely
Yeah.
worth it. Yeah.
All right. Here's one of the questions here from Alan. He says, Jana, what can you give us a feel for what your day to day is like?
So in the beginning, it was a lot of networking. When I figured out that that was what I was very comfortable with, and I really liked it, and I knew that it was going to work. I would go to. So we joined BNI. Tig actually started off with the membership, and then I took that over. And when I did, that was when it really started to work. I went to our meetings once a week, and then I went to every chapter because it's not very common for I don't know if many people know about BNI. It's a business networking group, and it's closed. So people in your group, there aren't any other medical billers in your group, in your particular chapter.
Yeah.
And what's nice is that it's not common. So all the other chapters in this area don't have medical billing either. So I went to every single chapter, visited, one other chapter a week, and set up one-to-ones with people in the other chapters. So I went and talked to CPAs, I talked to financial planners, I talked to benefits brokers, people who would have clients who were doctors. And then I, tried to connect with, as many people as I could. And as I did that, again, it didn't seem like it was working because you just meet and then, nothing would happen, but you just kept the relationships going. You kept being in front of them, emailing them, referring to them if you knew somebody that would be a good fit for them. And sure enough, the doctor I'm talking with on Friday was one that a CPA that I had met, they referred this practice over to me, and it's huge. And so that's what it looked like for me in the beginning. And now it's, I'm going to be onboarding this new doctor. And so in the next 3 months, I'm going to be, working to make sure that his templates are all, up and running. The software is what he wants it to be. I'm going to be doing all the project management piece and onboarding them onto the system. And then it'll be billing.
Hey, Tag, how you doing, buddy?
This is my husband, Tig.
Good to see you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, he just wanted to give you a kiss. He didn't want to say hi to me.
No, he did. He's probably just, too shy, jumping in and jumping out. Um, but so it just kind of, I think it goes through phases. Just depends on where you are. Are you networking and building your, sorry, this is another one. Are you networking or, prospecting, or are you onboarding, or are you just in billing mode because, or are you growing and hiring? It just really depends. But right now I'm switching from networking to onboarding. So that's
Yeah, you go from one thing to another because things happen during the day. Every day's different, really, when it comes right down to it. Running your own business, I tell people you can work from midnight till 4 in the morning if that's what you want to do.
Yeah, and again, it just depends on, yeah. I mean, if I've got a meeting, I'll, or if I need to run to the grocery store, I can work that, I'm not tied to somebody else's schedule, which is really nice.
That's right. Because really, the internet doesn't shut down. So since this is a cloud-based system, you just go for it.
Yeah, and access it whenever you need to. Yeah.
Jana says, can you give us a feel for where you want to take this business?
It's interesting. It's gone through phases. In the beginning it was, I want 100 doctors, and then it was just, I want one doctor, just to get
Right.
started, and then now that it's starting to pick up, I'm going back to, I really can make this whatever I want it to be. We were talking earlier, Patrick, about, maybe having a call center where you have a, department in our business that, where, patients can call in and get questions answered about their bills, or a pre-authorization center where you have them call in and you can stand alone, right? You can have pre-authorizations, billing, coding. I mean, there's so many things you can do with it. So I'm not really, putting any stops on that. I may just find that I have a few doctors and that's all I want to do, but the sky's the limit. That's the beauty of it. I can take it wherever I want it to go. And so it just kind of depends, but I'm not putting a limit on that. I'm just letting it grow naturally, and just to see what I feel comfortable with, and how it just grows. So.
All right. Margaret has another question here. She says, Jana, have you or any other licensee considered doing work outside the medical field? I read that ABS provides multiple services to different industries outside the medical field. If so, what are they? We're showing, by the way, some of the services that you can offer, folks. They're all optional. You don't have to offer any of them, but there are some there that can be offered, to anybody, for example, that has a lot of paperwork. iDocs Now, that's a good one. Choice pay can be offered to people outside the medical field. There's the Quick Collect. Any business that has overdue bills from customers can use that service. Auto card, we can use that for just about any industry out there where people want to actually, go out and market to their current customers. So lots of different things. Yeah.
Yeah, that is all available. That isn't anything that I've focused on. There was one situation where somebody in BNI had mentioned not being able to collect, and he wasn't in the medical field at all. And I was able to tell him that, we have a service. He decided, he hasn't decided to use it, but it is definitely available to you if it's something that you want to do. I haven't focused on, away from the medical piece. I always include it with physicians and practices.
Yeah, some licensees will offer those other services, some don't. Sorry, I don't know if you can hear that. My grandkids are arriving. There's a birthday party going on here as soon as this webinar is over. So, everybody is different. They all want to do different ways to build a business and focus on different things. Now, we agree, right, Jana, that the big money, of course, is in doing the billing for the doctor, because that's where you can make $25,000, $30,000 a year with some doctors. Whereas some of these services are just what I call mailbox money. They're checks that are mailed to you once you get businesses using some of these services, and you really don't have to do anything. It's just all kind of back-end money that's coming in automatically. So they're just multiple streams of income for our licensees. And those came about, by the way, because different licensees would come to us about different problems, and we'd go, okay, we're just going to find a solution that you can offer to doctors. Because the more things you can offer, the more the doctors look at you as unique compared to a medical biller,
Exactly. And that's what makes us medical revenue managers. I mean, it's more than just medical billing. We become the expert. We become the go-to person, and that's huge and invaluable to them.
It is. I think they want to look to you. In fact, we've had licensees get involved in things they didn't even think they wanted to get involved in, doing the credentialing for doctors and just helping doctors with all kinds of stuff that they never dreamed that they would. But you become more of a partner, a consultant for that doctor.
Mm-hmm.
And that they like that. They want to deal, of course, with a business owner. I tell people, look, there are big billing companies out there, but every time the people call in for support, they're getting another person in another country at a different time zone, and they want to deal with somebody like you who's right there to answer their questions no matter what. It's owner to owner. That's what the doctors are looking for.
And the billers are, they're here. They're here in the States. They're people that we know. It's not being outsourced anywhere. So that's huge too.
Yeah, it's important, I think, nowadays that people realize that when I need support, I need it to be somebody that I can talk with, understand, communicate with, and that will really help me with the questions, because there's lots of things that come up you wouldn't know the answers to unless you had somebody to reach out to.
Exactly.
This is one of the questions here from Sue. She says, Jana, how has the support been so far with ABS?
It has been phenomenal. I can't even tell you. But it's all if you choose to rely on ABS for the support that they offer. They will bend over backwards to help you succeed, and I cannot stress that enough. But it requires 100% effort, if not more, on your part. Just making sure that no stone is unturned. You've tried you work at it, you keep going. We were told, the only way you can fail is if you give up, right? And that really is true. And if you keep putting one foot in front of the other and you keep coming back, asking for support, they will do anything and everything to help you succeed. They love to see us succeed, and they celebrate in our success, and they're incredible. So I've never experienced anything like it, nothing like it. And I could not imagine trying to do this by myself. In fact, I wouldn't do it by myself, because there's so much to it, and you'll have so many questions, and they have answers, and they've got great support, and it's important. I mean, I rely heavily on them to get me.
My wife and I, when we started back actually it was the late 80s, we actually started, and then we started licensing people like yourself in the early 90s. But boy, I didn't have there was very few people who actually did this business. So we learned from scratch the hard way. I tell people, if you want to know how not to go out and market to doctors, I can tell you all the ways that don't work.
Yeah.
And I spent a lot of money on those things.
Oh, I can't even imagine. I know I would not have made it through. So yeah, 100%.
I didn't have anybody that I could just pick up the phone or tap an email and say, hey, I need help with this, and they would help. Now you've got not just our support people, but our entire network of licensees. We can turn you on to anybody that's got the answer. You can't ask a question that we don't know the answer to, because our licensees help us with that support.
And it's even more than just billing. I mean, I can call about business things, like advice about how to do, QuickBooks, little things that, you wouldn't even think about, that you're kind of on your own if you do it on your own. And so that, it's just a lot, and it's very important. And
well, Jana, thank you so much. We're right about 5 minutes away from the hour. I'm going to wrap it up with a few other things here. Tell people about our money back guarantee and how they can get involved. What is there anything that you'd like to share with people that are in the same position you were in a while back? What is it that you advise people as far as looking into business of any kind?
Well, I think it's the idea of, is this something that you, I don't want to use the word passionate about, but something that really, it has to be like a mission, something like I said earlier, you need to really want to help doctors, because that's what's going to get you through those tough points. When you have a mission to help them, you'll continue that mission even when you get no's, or even when it doesn't turn out to work as fast as you want it to. And just, I think that's the important piece, because again, like we talked about, It doesn't happen fast. It's not a get rich fast, business, but it does pay off in the end. It's one of those ideas where, you pump the lever of the well, and you got to do a lot of work in the beginning, a lot of, and if you just keep going, eventually the water come out, and then it'll gush out, and it's easier to manage. But it just takes time. So if you're willing to put in the time and you're willing to ask for help, it's an incredible opportunity. But yeah, it's just got to be, something that becomes a mission for you.
And you do have that. I can tell you have a heart for doctors and for the patients that they serve, and that's why you'll be extremely successful. Jana, thank you again for your time today. I'm going to wrap this up. If you want to just turn off or you can just leave the meeting and it'll all shut down on your end.
Well,
so thanks again.
Thank you
Hey,
so
somewhere
much.
down the line, once you get up and running and get past some of the startup stuff that you're doing with these doctors, we'll ask you to maybe take some phone calls from people and be one of our references. So
Love that.
let us know what we can do to help you.
All right, perfect. Thank you so much.
All right, bye for now.
Bye.
Okay.